didn't
control,
realize,
give
like
it
I said, I
minute
mean,
or
each year
two
gets a
for,
little worse, but I mean, it's showing about every 100 feet there's a camera. It's like, I was like, goodness gracious, people.
yeah, we're going live now.
You know.
All right. See if it, yep. All right. Well, I'm hoping everybody can hear us all right. We got a microphone here. If you can't, please chime in, let us know. Post something in the comments and we'll take a look at it. We had some technical difficulties with an update from Facebook today for some odd reason, so we're a little bit late getting started on this here. Anyway, I'm James. Y'all know Blake, normally with me. Welcome Patrick Cherry.
Thank you.
And the lovely Miss Candy over here.
Hi.
With the broken foot. Patrick, and obviously if anybody's paid attention lately with the election commission, Blake has picked up his papers, Candy Davis has picked up her papers, and so has Patrick Cherry. And we're going to get to that in a little bit because we're going to talk to them about why they're running and the reason they picked up papers for all three alderman position and the mayor position. We'll get to that here shortly. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a recap from Tuesday night's meetings, because there was two meetings. There was a county commission meeting and there was a city meeting, a city of Lexington meeting, both of them in reference to budgets. So I think it's a good thing to go ahead and talk about that. And I guess probably we'll start with the city meeting first. Actually, let's do the county meeting because unfortunately we had a last minute change. Chris was unavailable. Her father had a stroke, so she couldn't make the city meeting. I had planned on going to the county meeting, so we had Angela and Carl fill in and do the recording for the county meeting. So I'm getting information from them. So I figured I've got limited information from that 2+ hour meeting. So let's go with that one first. And I'm sure y'all, this is gonna be the first time y'all are hearing about it too. There's quite a bit of discussion in that meeting, and we're going to just hit on the nuts and bolts of it. One of the things that was brought up was doing a 20-cent wheel tax, which was going to generate, I'm not sure, I don't think it was, let me see if I've got the number somewhere. And regardless, the wheel tax got shot down. The commission wasn't even interested in hearing about it. And pretty much what I think it boiled down to was there's a lot of strings attached when you're dealing with wheel tax. So it just wasn't worth it for them to go back and to pursue that at this time. Now the other thing that obviously is going to interest most people will be the property tax suggestion. Right now they have 10 cents on the floor. And let me explain to you something when it comes to property taxes that might help you. It'll help you understand when people talk about a 10-cent property tax increase, a 20 cent, or God forbid that 74 cent last year in the city. When they raise taxes, they always say cents. We're going to raise it 10 cents. And I'm going to tell you, we all know 10 cents is 10 pennies. 1 cent is 1 penny. And what happens in government is they use the value of a penny to determine how much money it's going to generate in revenue, or how much money they're going to get from property taxes, or sales taxes, whatever cent they use. So 1 penny in the county is about $67,000. So when they raise the taxes 10 cents, they're going to generate approximately $670,000 to be able to use. Now, going back in there with the just kind of touch base, after the budget was created for the county, there was going to be a short change of about they're going to be short in budgeting about $330,000. So they couldn't balance it. And this, now granted, there's increases in expenses, obviously, and there is a 3% pay raise going to all county employees in that budget. So yes, they have a shortfall of $330,000. But I mean, really, they've added expenses that exceeded what they needed to balance the budget based on what revenue they're going to bring in. So, it's kind of a play on words, or as we like to say, smoke and mirrors. They're telling you that they're going to be short and they need more money. Well, the fact is, it's not that they're short. They're spending more money than they're taking in. They don't have to spend more money if they don't want to. They could probably take that bonus, that pay raise and drop it down to 2.5%. And they might have that 330 in there. I don't know. I have not done the figures. I haven't seen them. Because what everybody looks at is a pay raise. Oh, we're going to get 3% more. No, it's not that simple. It's not as simple as an hourly rate or a salary. When those raises occur, you're going to have medical, Social Security, I'm sure there's unemployment taxes. There's a lot of other expenses that are associated when you give somebody a pay raise. So everything goes up, and that adds to the total cost of things. So, you know, we can look at that there and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we got to make a budget cut. But no, it's not a budget cut. There is no such thing as a budget cut. That is a political crap to try to convince you that they're doing something good. Bottom line is there is no budget cuts. There's budget increases every year. They create a higher budget, and then they say, well, we're going to cut it down, so we've done a budget cut. No, they haven't. All they did was take last year's budget and just bump it up more. So it's an increase. So if we're going to call it what it is, let's call it a budget increase. And when they do a budget increase, if they don't have enough revenue coming in, they got a tax.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's it. There's no spin on these words. There's nothing they can do to try to sell it to you any different. So bottom line is, the county is at that point where they've increased their spending, and increasing the spending, they're showing a short change in being balanced. Now, one thing that I have a hard time understanding is when I looked at the budget that was shared by Commissioner Andy Anderson on his Facebook page. At the very end, there's in the general fund, there's a line up in there that talks about undesignated fund balance. Now, they've got somewhere in the neighborhood of about, I think the last 2 years, they were estimating it's over $4 million. And they have to keep about, I think it's 10% or 20% of their operating budget. So if their budget annually is around about $10 million, they need to keep $2 million in reserves. That's what's required by law. But what's happened here is, what's kind of got me is, if we've got a short change of $330,000 after all these increases in the budget, I have a hard time understanding that, because when you look at the undesignated funds, that's money they have not designated for anything else. That's gone from $4.35 million to $4.6 million. That's $250,000. Well, if you're short $330,000, where did you get the $250,000 cuts? They went in there with a lower budget, which was a balanced budget. They didn't need any money, didn't have to raise no property taxes, didn't have to do nothing. And what happens? They didn't cut anything. They started increasing the budget.
Yeah.
$647,000. I do know that $113,000 of that $647,000 will be a recurring expense. All right, pay raises. Last year, the city gave what they call the enterprise accounts. Let me tell you what that is. Lexington Utilities, they get money. They don't get tax money. They get rate money. You know, your water just went up, your sewer just went up, your gas just went up. That is rates. That's an enterprise fund, because they're generating their money from rates. LES, they generate their money from sales of electricity. LexNet, that's an enterprise fund. The part of Public Works that deals with trash pickup, because you know in your water bill you got to pay that trash pickup. And boy, I'll tell you right now, being here in town in a business, I think we pay $62.50 for a couple of bags of trash a month. That's just crazy. Anyway, and you can't get it turned. You got to do it, not you get your water turned off if you don't want to pay trash. So that's how they want. But what the city board did last year was they gave those enterprise fund a 5% increase. 5%. All right. Well, they didn't have enough money to give a 5% increase to the general fund employees, so they gave them just a 3%. Understand, this is what the board did. They approved a 5% increase for part of the city employees, and they only gave the other ones 3%. Could have just given everybody 3%, and there would be no problem. Well, what happened now is all along this year, and then at the last meeting on Tuesday night, as typical, Roger Lofton gets up there and wants to give them that extra 2%. Well, buddy, let me tell you something. If you wouldn't have given the 5% to everybody else and just give everybody else, if you would have been fair to all of your employees and given everybody a 3% at the same time, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Right.
But let me tell you, this is where you need to pay attention. Last year, we had a 17-cent property tax increase. At the time of those meetings, it was this, and when that was approved, 12% of that 12 cent of that 17 cent was going to pay raises. So that means they got 5 cents left, or 5 pennies. Now, I'm floating from memory here. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe the value of a penny last year at budget time was about $26,000 in the city. Well, now let me tell you something here. We know what the city recorder told us was when they give that 2% pay raise that they made up, that 2% pay raise for the general fund employees is coming to $113,000 a year. Now that's their salaries and all their benefits. Okay. Now we're going to take, I'm just doing some basic math here. $113,000, and we're going to divide that by $26,000, the value of a penny. We come up to 4.34 pennies. So last year, when you got a property tax increase of 17 cents, 16.34 cents of your property tax increase has gone to pay raises. You ain't got a single benefit in as far as services providing.
Right.
Nothing has been increased.
Exactly.
This is the stuff that they won't tell you about. They don't want you to see. That's why they want to keep you in the dark. That's one of the reasons that we do these things. I'll tell you something too, what you need to look at here. Uh-oh. Says we lost the it's still there. All right. I'm showing we're still on. Are you showing we're still on?
Yeah, show
Yes.
us the line.
Okay. Sorry about that. I got a text in we lost feed. Getting back to that there. I'm going to show you something else that they're going to do. And this is something you got to remember right now. These three people are up here for the election. We are in an election year with the city. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is the city and the county is kind of staggered. The city will elect this year. They start their election process earlier in the year for the city. The county is going to start in December. They'll start where you can pick up your papers, and then the primary will come around in May. So before the next budget cycle, the county is going to have an election, because we all know that whoever wins the primary, because this is supposedly a Republican county, whoever wins the Republican primary in May is going on to win the election. That's how it's been forever. That's how it was last election. In the county, that's just how it works. So we're going to look at it like this here. We are in an election year in the county and in the city. The city will elect this year, but we're in the start of the process for the county election cycle. You're going to probably see, and I think one of the things that Carl told me is one of the commissioners, and I don't know who, made a comment that about raising the property taxes. Well, I'm not running again, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do what I think needs to happen. Okay, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you know, that commissioner is going out on a limb to say, hey, you know what, I think we need to raise property taxes 10 cents, and you know, I'm not running again, so I'm not worried about getting reelected. Jack Johnson did get up in the county meeting and say, this is an election year, and it just pretty much ain't nobody going to approve property taxes because people are worried about getting reelected. And that's the nuts and bolts of it.
That's it.
We are in a city election year. We're in the process of it right this moment. And what's the one thing you see that didn't happen? No property
No
tax
property
increase.
tax increase.
Now, this is where you got to pay attention. We don't have a property tax increase this year. And they just, I'm almost sure I heard in that $647,000, $113,000 for the 2% raise from that they didn't give last year.
Right.
And then they're going to do it. Was it $177,000 for a 2.5% COLA for this year.
Correct.
Yes.
That was included from what, and that's what I understood. The numbers were all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't understand half the stuff that was going on because they're just, I mean, it was,
Long
Train
story
wreck.
short, they gave them everything they asked for.
yes, yes. So, now let's look at this here. When you get into salaries and you get into benefits, that's a recurring expense every year.
Mhm.
You gotta pay that. So what do you think is gonna happen next year? Because see, they're borrowing money out of their reserve funds.
Mhm.
Now, the city has a thing called, I don't know, I guess it's designated reserves, and then a rainy day fund.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same money, just different things. I think there's strings on the designated funds, obviously, or, and it may not even be, it's gotta be, I think they call it undesignated, or,
Yeah,
Yes,
I believe
it
it's
is.
undesignated. I
well, I
think
mean,
they can
if it's
pull from
undesignated,
it.
then it doesn't have any strings on it, I would
Same
think.
thing as a rainy day fund.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
pull from it when they get ready.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were
Left hand
seeing.
versus right hand.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
But you know, they got up there and talked about, oh, we need to replenish this rainy day fund.
Yeah.
And yet they're up here spending money.
Yeah.
Again, we're in an election year. There ain't nobody talking about raising no taxes because they worried about getting reelected.
Exactly.
The moment you get up in here next year, because you just created,
That's it.
I'm looking at 177 and what, this is what I heard at the meeting, and I think this is what you heard. But $177,000 for a COLA pay increase, so we're gonna get another pay raise for the general fund employees, which, and every single one of the departments asked for a pay raise. So there's gonna be another 2.5% pay raise for all the city employees. That's 177,000, and then 113,000 that he just picked up for the 2% raise that they didn't do last year during the budget cycle.
Basically 300 grand.
Yeah, about $300,000. Well, guess what's gonna happen next year when it's not an election year? Well, we've got a recurring expense, and we can't keep pulling it out of our reserves because then we won't have no reserves, so we need to go up in property taxes. Now, I don't know what the value of a penny is this year because I have not seen it, because obviously, as usual, the city wants to keep everything hidden from the citizens. So I don't know what the value of a penny is, but let's just look at it like here. Let's just say a value, one penny is $30,000. That means by doing this $300,000 property tax increase, this $300,000
Pay raise.
pay
Pay
raise,
raise.
they're gonna need to generate
Another dime.
another dime in property taxes next year.
Correct.
And of course, nobody's gonna be afraid of doing it next year because, oh, it's not an election year.
Exactly.
And what they bank on is that you're gonna forget all about it because that's what politicians do.
Yeah.
They figure the citizens have a short memory span, and they bank that. That's how they go after it with you.
It's the game they play.
That's it, and that's exactly what it is. It's a game,
Yeah.
and they're rolling the dice. And then if you ask any honest politician, which is not many, they'll tell you that's pretty much how it works.
Yeah. Timing, that's all. it is.
Timing, yeah, we've
You're
heard
right.
that. Yeah, we heard that. didn't we? So that's what's going to happen is they're banking on you for getting it, and they're going to hit you again next year with another property tax increase. So this is what's happening, just so you know. Now, remember, in the city, they have had their first reading of the budget. It is not approved. And it was clearly stated in that meeting, towards the end of that meeting, that everything can change. So right now, we can't jump to conclusions, but if nothing changes, if that budget goes through just like it did on Tuesday night, then pretty much can bank on a property tax increase next year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's coming. And that's what they're gonna do, is they're just gonna hold off. They'll just play the game just to keep you off their back, and then they'll take and hit you again. And last year, you guys showed out. I'm gonna tell you right now. I mean, Andrew putting on the thing over there at the at Courthouse Lawn. I mean, people showing up to the meetings. That 74 cents got dropped down to 17 cents. That's a 54 cent drop. Now I want to take a look at it. We're going to go back to that $26,000 per penny, and they didn't get 57. 57 times 26,000. Oop. 7 times 26,000. That is $1.5 million that
That they would have had to blow.
they would have had to figure out.
How are we gonna spend it now?
Yeah, I just turn forward to Patrick. He got it. Yeah, they would have spent it
Yeah.
because they'd had to justify it.
Exactly.
And then they would have come back wanting more.
Yep.
So $1.5 million, and that would have come in every single year.
That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the need for transparency. And when I sat down and looked at every budget from every department head, and the numbers are all over the place, and it's hard to make a lot of sense of it. A lot of it is very vague, and I think that's done purposefully so they can play a shell game and move money where they want it to go, and spend it however they want to, which I won't go so far as to say that it would be fraud.
Right.
But when you create a budget and you're telling your aldermen and your taxpayers this is what the money is for, and you go move it somewhere else and spend it, what else could it be? It's deception at very least.
Yeah.
And you know, and you're right, and this is why it's so important that we get in and pay attention to things, and we educate ourselves on what's going on. The problem is, in Tennessee, unless there's pretty much theft of money, you're not going to have anybody come down here and help you.
Right.
If they want to take their employees out to McDonald's every day for lunch, they can do so, and there's nobody that's going to come down here and say that they're misusing money.
Right.
They can say, well, that's a perk or a benefit of what we're doing in our service to help for retention or acquisition of employees. That's where the problem is, and there's no accountability. And I'm going to say, I want to touch on one thing, because I think we're now at the point where we need to let these three get in here and say what's going on. At the beginning of the meeting, Tuesday night, for y'all who are watching, because I noticed our numbers just dropped, which I don't fault you guys. I mean, I think we started off with around about 60 people watching. Mm-hmm. Well, the first 30 minutes, nothing happened, because the board had gone. You didn't see nothing, but I think Mallory was on when you saw it there in the video. The board went to executive session. Now, I got information, and I did not get information from anyone on this board, on the city board, okay? No, because they can't discuss this stuff. When you go to executive session, it has to stay in executive session. That's the rules of the game. What kind of blew my mind was the city attorney was not there, and they still went into executive session. Generally what happens with executive session, when they go in there, they can only ask questions pertaining to whatever they're in executive session about. And that's it. They can't have any kind of discussion, because if they're in violation of law. Executive session is very, very finite, and generally it really needs to be, those questions need to be geared towards the attorney to avoid any kind of violation of state law. But anyway, we're not going to get into that there, but we are going to tell you this came from actually it's not even somebody who lives in the city that gives some information. On the agenda, there was a line item that was discuss, approve, I think is how they normally word it, disposition of the Kenny Asbill property, I believe is how it was worded. Okay, let me tell you what I got a call. I didn't these things here, when it gets into legal matters, I don't go out and pursue this here. I got a call, so I'm going to share what was said to me, and I don't know if this is factual, but it kind of makes sense when I heard the story, and then I found out about, and then when you look at them going into executive session. The behind Kenny Asbill is the person who called me raved about how great of a guy he is. I don't know him personally, but and I don't know if any of y'all know Kenny or not. He owns property right across from Beach Lake. There's I think there's some mini storage units there. It's over there by a Best Donuts in
Mm-hmm.
the village. It's got a saw blade up there on the sign. I remember seeing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he owns property all back there, and his property goes back behind. Oh shoot, I think it went all the way up to Beach River, back behind Baja Grill, all back behind Goodwill and all that stuff, behind where the rescue squad is down back there, behind Tractor Supply. Mm-hmm. From what I was told was, I think this was under David Jowers when he was mayor. The city wanted that property, some of that property back there behind, I'm just gonna say Baja. They wanted some of the property back there because they were gonna cut a road across from there to Old Jackson.
Mhm.
Well, it's been years and the city hasn't done anything. When it happened, they asked Kenny if he would give the land for them to do that. Well, he gave the land with the intent that they were gonna put a road across. And they have not put a road across. So since they're not doing anything with it, he wants his land back.
Who can blame you?
Can't fault him, right? You know, I'm being a good member of the community by giving something,
Yeah.
and then you're not using it. So why do you need to keep it? Let me get it back.
Yeah.
You know, which to me is not a bad thing because I mean he gets his property back. He's happy. The city ain't got to deal with it anymore. You know, it's his property, and they actually get some tax revenue from it.
Mhm.
I mean, this should be. I mean, what in the hell do you even need to discuss on it?
Right.
I mean, the man gave you something in good faith. You didn't hold up your end of the bargain. Just give him back what he gave you. Simple, move on. But anyway, I wanted to get that out there to you just in case, like I said, I know they were gone for 30 minutes. Like I said, we generally don't delve into anything in executive sessions unless we have information about it. And like I said, the person who gave me this information has given me information in the past, and everything they have given me has been 100% factual and accurate. So I'm going to take it for, I'm taking this as the same thing. And now, like I said, it makes sense. I mean, his name was sitting up there on the agenda, and they wanted an executive session. I can understand the legalities of it. Anyway, just a quick synopsis of everything. County's talking about a 10% property tax increase, a 10-cent property tax increase. City is going to use money out of reserves, and from what I gathered in that meeting, they're doing a pay raise as well. And that's pretty much it. We're now in a waiting pattern until we get to the next one. We'll probably delve a little bit deeper in this here in next week's podcast just to get you some more information as we get stuff in. And there's quite a few other things that's going on that we'll catch you guys up on too next week. But right now, I want to introduce to you, like I said, Candy Davis, Patrick Cherry, Blake Mitchell are all running for mayor. Alderman position 4, Alderman position 5, and Alderman position 6. Before I turn this here over, I'm going to kind of do a Q&A with them. And if you guys got any questions, you know, feel free. I'm kind of negligent in watching my comments in here, but if you've got any questions for them, feel free to just jump in here and ask questions. I'm sure they'll answer them for you. But we're gonna pop into that there. Let me say something here because I've heard some comments. I think some of y'all have heard it too. These guys are not the taxpayers page. You know that. I mean that's an easy way for people to sit there and say, "Oh, here's the taxpayers page trying to control what's going on in the city." No, we don't. If we try to control what's going on in the city, I'd tell you who to vote for. I mean that's just bottom line. This page is bringing you information. Have I talked with all 3 of them about the election? Yes, I have. Have they talked to me about issues from meetings that they have attended and watching videos? Yes. Have they asked about things in regards to the election? Yes. Have I made suggestions? Yes. I don't tell anybody what to do, and I wouldn't want anybody that's going to do what I want them to do really to elect us, to be elected, because I mean, then it's one person controlling it, and it's no different than what's already there. These people here see problems in our community. They read the taxpayers page. They hear the community and the citizens complaining about the issues that we have because we got some serious damn issues, and they want to make a change because it is their community. So yeah, when it gets down to it, turnabout's fair play is the way I kind of look at it. Right now, these 3 here, they haven't chosen a position because they're going to kind of wait to see what the other team's going to do. They're going to get a little bit of their own medicine. Number 2, talking with them, and if they have an opportunity, they want to see where people are, where the citizens, they want to talk to the citizens about where you guys think they should run and what position they should run. So that's when it gets down to it is, they're actually going to take in they want to talk to you guys. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think I think every one of them will. I mean, if you guys want to reach out to me, I mean, I don't think they'll have problems giving you cell phone numbers, or you want to reach out to them on Facebook. However, but you should be able to ask questions of them. So what I'm going to do here is I got a lot of comments popping up in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the question. And I'm going to go around the room, and while they're answering the questions, because they're going to be talking to you about it, I'm going to take and catch up on the comments. So my first question is, and I don't care whoever wants to take it first, you guys pick and choose. Why are you running?
If I don't do it, I will feel like I didn't do my duty. When you see that there's a problem, and you know without people like us and others that are going to jump in the race as well, that things will never change, you finally come to the realization, I got to do something. I mean, something has to change. It's that simple.
I agree with that.
We keep saying vote them out, but nobody runs to vote them out.
Exactly.
And I'm an everyday person, just like the rest of the voters, and if nobody's going to step up and run to vote them out, then I'll do it.
Right.
Maybe me doing it will encourage someone else to do it as well. And I'm just like everybody else. I want the city ran like it's supposed to be ran. I want it transparent. I want it fair. You know, I'm just tired of it being smoke and mirrors.
And so I'll echo everything y'all have just said. I mean, I pretty much what started was when I started trying to help a few clients around here and realized, I mean, it was, people didn't know anything. People didn't know anything about what was going on here, what problems people were facing, didn't understand who owned what, who was responsible for what, was TDOT responsible for this, or the city. I mean, it was just a cluster. And at the end of the day, I mean, I think a lot of people can drive around and see what they're on. We've got massive problems with a lot of different infrastructure, and it seems like we just continue to just kick the ball down the road. And I mean, that's how we're getting in the position that we've been in, where it's like, oh, all of a sudden we've got to come up with $10 million to fix this, instead of, you know, we could have done some small fixes along the way and it not cost us near this amount of money at this time. That, and we just continue to band-aid things. I mean, just like the culverts behind G. Williams that got blown out for what, second or third time now? Well, we won't put a bridge on.
I think that was the second time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that.
And just continue to spend money left and right, and it's just bleeding us dry. And then it seems like the only thing we worry about is how much can we give a pay raise to everybody, and it's again across the board 2%. Well, that really kind of irks me, because the fact that, you know, there's a lot of people that we have on the labor side, people actually doing the work. 2% on $40,000 is nothing.
Right.
You're not hardly. But 2% on $100,000, that starts to add up real fast. And so that's, so we just continue to spend money frivolously without even seeing any returns. Performance-based management, I don't know if they've ever even heard of that term. I mean, it's unreal. And like I said, I just feel like that was the reason why all of us kind of stood up and been like, maybe we can get some control of it, or at least give some transparency to where it's going and what's happening, so that people can vote accordingly.
Well, Blake, that was something that that I had a little concern with. I don't know what the legality of it would be. I'd have to look into it. But with it being a government entity, all the different utility companies, electric, and so forth, are you allowed to do a performance-based raise, or does it have to be something flat across the board? I know in business, any place I've ever worked, people got a raise based on performance. You don't go in and give everybody 3% or everybody 2%. And we all know that there are slackers and there are workers. We got some really, really good people that work for this city that do a great job, and if they're doing their job and doing it right and they're working hard, they deserve a bigger slice of the pie than the guy leaning on the shovel all day who may not even deserve a slice of the pie.
Agreed. You know, and I'll echo that a little bit more too. Merit-based raises are, I don't see where there's any, I haven't found anything in state law in regards to that there. You know, I keep hearing that, you know, terminating an employee, you've got state laws protect government employees. I haven't found that. Everything I've found is we're a right-to-work state, and the government employee is no different than a private, someone working for a private industry. You know, I mean, I think that's an excuse that they use to try to scare people and say, you can't touch me. I think that's all that is. You know, I haven't dug deep enough into it. But yeah, and you're right. I mean, we've got some damn good people that work for our city.
No doubt.
We've got some damn good people in the county.
Right.
And then we've got some people that, you know what, they don't carry their load off, but because they're related or buddies with somebody in a position, they get to skate. And you know, I'm tell you what, everybody talks about us, oh, we're gonna lose employees, we're gonna lose employees. You know, I'm tell you the fastest way to lose an employee ain't a damn thing to do with money. Piss poor management.
That's it.
You know what, when you don't have good management and good leadership in those positions, people don't wanna work for them. And when they see the guy next to them not doing a damn thing and making the same, if not more money than they are,
Right.
you
Drag
know we're
morale
taking-
down.
Yeah, that's it. And that goes back to management.
It does.
That needs to
It all starts at the top.
That's it. I'm gonna answer one question in here. It's one of the questions that came across. James, are you gonna run for office, or you are going to run for office, right? If not, tell the people why you're not running, thanks. All right. No, I'm not running for city office because I can't. I don't live in the city. Now, and then of course, you know, if anybody wanna ask, well, why am I involved in city politics? I have a business in the city. And you'll tell you what, even though I don't own my building, and people talk about freaking me paying taxes, every damn time I buy something in this city, I pay sales tax. And you'll tell you what's happened the last 2 years with my business that I rent, my building that I rent. My rent has gone up twice. And you'll tell you why? Because it's costing my landlord more because he's paying more taxes. Am I upset about it with my landlord? Absolutely not. I agree with what he did. He has to do something because you know what? I'm not going to get into who my landlord is, but this is retirement for him.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of his livelihood,
Right.
just like the business that I operate is part of my livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fault him whatsoever. You know, he can't absorb it. What kind of investment is it if you're losing money?
Exactly.
You know, so no, I don't fault my landlord whatsoever. But yeah, that's the reason I'm involved in city politics, because it does affect me. And guess what? If I didn't have a business inside the city politics still affects me. I don't get my electric because we're up on the north end of the county in Carroll County. But I get my water coming out of the city. So yeah, I've got a say in what happens here. All of it plays a part in me. You know, tell you what, there's mutual aid between different organizations out here. So that there plays a part in how my tax dollars used. So, you know, that's it. But yeah, as far as me not running for the city election, no, I don't plan on running for the city election because it can't. Moving forward to next year to the county election, I've said this 100 times, I'll say it again. I am trying to retire. It's keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And sometime next year I do plan on retiring. And when I do, I'll be moving back home to Virginia. Until then, this is my home, and I am going to fight for my home, and I'm going to fight for my neighbors. That's just how I was brought up. That's just where I'm at.
And I think I can speak for most people and say we appreciate the transparency that you provide. I mean, I wouldn't have known half the stuff going on in here had it not been for
Me
James
too.
and his paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. You know, and that's all I'm trying to do is just share information with people. You know, some people like what we do, some people don't. You know, that's neither here nor there. I mean, everybody's got an opinion. You know, I get people who talk about, oh, you know, we control what's said on the page and stuff. And if you want to get in here and have conversations and talk about stuff up here, we allow people to do that there. If you come on my page and try to take and say, we're going to shut the page down, we need to get it shut down, carry your ass on. You're not going to come on my page to use it to try to shut it down. I mean, if you're that ignorant to think that I'm going to allow that to happen, I'm sorry. You're a lot stupider than I ever realized. Pardon me for saying that, but I'm spade to spade sometimes. You know, this page, yes, we do allow free process, but free thought process, free speech. But there is no free speech this is a private page. This is a individual's page or group's page because we're allowing, because we do have admins. But it is not free speech. Nothing is stopping you from saying, if you want to say something bad about me, go create the I hate James Lavelle page. I don't give a damn. I just don't. Go create the page and talk all you want. I don't go on anybody else's page and see what they say about me. And trust me, I get stuff sent to me all the time. I don't care. Say whatever you want to say about me. Don't bother me, no. You know, my skin's pretty thick, and and bottom line, I don't put up with bullying. So if you want to talk bad about me, if you want to man up and step up in my face, I'm right here. I'm not hiding from anything. I don't get in violence, but I'll have a conversation with you all day long. But anyway, I'm sorry. I should not have gotten too deep into that there because I'm taking away from you guys. All right. I'm going to ask another question. What did you see, whether paying attention to a meeting, taxpayers page, reading something in the newspaper, watching WBBJ report, what did you see that kind of triggered you to this point of saying, I want to run?
Well, the main thing is just nobody else stepping up to run, number one, and just seeing the waste, seeing there's not accountability. I just don't see. I would like to see lists of assets, and I would like to see, like each month, I would like to see a profit and loss page from each department. I would like to see how each department's doing each month. We just take their word for it on if they're doing well or not, and they'll tell us they're doing well when they want to raise, and then when they need more money, they'll tell us they're not doing well, and we just have to take their word for it. And I just want to make a difference.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, he's right.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, that's the lack of transparency. The we're going to give you a budget, like literally as you sit down, that we're going to give the aldermen as they're sitting at the meeting to vote on this. Well, here, we'll give it to you now, and it's like, I mean, you give them 20 pages worth of budget, and you expect them to read it, and literally, I mean, it's like they hand it to them, and the next thing you know, we got 2 motions, and it's, let's have some discussion on it, maybe 2 minutes, and the next thing you know, it's like, well, let's call a roll, let's get a vote on this, and it's like, I mean, I don't know how you can actually even generate a thought on it when you probably haven't even can't even read it all, and let alone be able to discuss it with your constituents. I mean, like, how can they even have any input if you're just receiving it at the meeting that you're also going to vote on it?
And if that's your job, is to create a budget and to work on a budget all year round, why can't you get that budget out a week, 2 weeks earlier and give them time to review it and to talk to people and find out, why are you asking for this and what's going on with this? Give them time to discuss it.
Well, I think everybody probably remembers my first meeting that I went to. It was last year when they were doing talking about the huge property tax increase, and I basically had no intentions of ever speaking or doing anything, getting involved at all. I just was going to be a warm body there, showing up just to be there. And I was standing outside in the hallway, couldn't even get in the room where the meeting was going on. And my wife said, "Boy, that's a nice stove over there." And she looked it up on her phone real quick, and she said, why do they need a $12,000 stove? And it just flew all over me, and I immediately felt compelled to go up front and say my piece. And I think in doing that, I got a lot of people fired up. There were people upset, really upset over that.
Talked about for quite a while.
It was the talk for a while, and I don't know. The more I thought about it, I thought I had other people trying to encourage me to do it. I'm like, oh know, I'm not getting in the middle of all that. And the more I thought about it, I thought I really have to. I don't have a choice. May not win. None of us may win. And if we don't, just respect that decision and move on. You know, I'll run again next time.
Yeah, and you know, success is generally preceded by failure at some point.
Exactly.
And that's the key thing is you just continue to move forward and learn and figure out what to do next time.
Exactly.
That was like me. I was just going to show up as a warm body, and then I got to thinking, you know, my mom, she lives off of Social Security and an $87 pension check. And, you know, when they wanted to raise property taxes, she doesn't own property, but she rents. And so when the property taxes increase, her rent goes up, and, you know, she's strapped every month as it is. So it affects her.
Well, kind of coming off of what she said, I manage 52 apartments here in town. I don't own them. Have no dog in the race when it comes to deciding how much a month they charge or anything else. But I can tell you this, when property tax goes up, when insurance goes up, I'm the first one to hear about it. And they're like, you're going up $50 a month, you're going up $100 a month, whatever the case might be. So people that think that this property tax thing doesn't affect them, just like you with your business here, it does. It affects everybody. Even like Andy said, I mean, even the most vulnerable, our older people that are on Social Security, that really don't have the money to pay extra property tax. Even if you're renting, you're still going to get hit with this. And
That's right. There's no escape.
no,
Because that tax is attached to the property. Regardless of who is actually inhibiting the property, it is attached to the property. So if renters get it just as much as everybody else does. You know, that's, they don't want to talk about that there. And generally, you know, I'm going to say probably a very, very high percentage, probably in the 90% of people who are renting, are in a position where they can't afford a house.
right.
You know, and I'm going to probably, I'd be willing to bet money based on the numbers provided by the state's metrics. 20% of Henderson County, it's right, it's 18%. I don't want to get anybody up panties in the bunch. 18% of Henderson County, it's over 5,000 people in this county are at or below poverty level. Well, when property taxes go up, you know what else goes up? And the reappraisals with the properties, and they got valued higher. Insurances go up. Because if you got a house that they value 1 year at $100,000 and they come back 5 years and the reappraisal and pays for $300,000, well, guess what your insurance is going to base it off of? Not the $100,000, the $300,000.
Exactly.
So your insurance goes up, and all that hits people. Then you get these people who are just over that threshold of that 18%. Yeah, I'm going to say it's probably somewhere between, I'm going to say 20 to 25% of the county is just above that threshold. Because what I noticed last year, we were at 16.1%, and then we went to 18%. So roughly 2% in 1 year of property tax increases in the city. 2% of our residents went up. So, you know, if the county does that there, I'm going to bet say probably within the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to probably see around about a quarter of our people sitting at or below poverty level.
Right.
And you know, today I was watching. I watch Fox News for y'all want to shoot me about it. I watch Fox Business every now and then. I was watching that today, and they were talking about the housing market's in the stall right now. Houses aren't selling. Well, you know what? People can't afford houses. They just keep jacking up in price.
Exactly.
You know, there's so many things that play a part in that there. But yeah, that's kind of where it is. Property taxes, they impact every single person.
100%. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask y'all another question. Communicating with the citizens, because this seems to be the biggest problem that I've seen, is there's just a lack of communication. Or, yeah, I'm going to kick him one more time. Gabe Williams talked about everybody he talked to was all for a rate increase for the utility rates. Yet when we got into our poll showed a whole different story.
Yeah.
Well over 800 against 50. They were against the property tax increase. So, you know, he's talking to part of those 50, obviously, and not talking to the other 800 plus over here.
Right.
And still in this country, that 8 plus is your majority.
Right.
And the majority is what matters. How do you plan on communicating with your constituents to let them know what's going on so you can provide transparency as, if you're elected, as a sitting member of this board, how would you go about finding ways to communicate with your citizens what's happening?
Go ahead, Blake.
I mean, I think the first thing is just to get the information in time to where you can actually communicate. I mean, I think that's the biggest problem we have right now is
Number one thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can't communicate if you don't know what to communicate, and that's been by and large one of my biggest issues. But I people go back and forth on Facebook and stuff. I think it's a great way to reach out to a lot of people, and you can get comments and actually have some discussion back and forth between people on there.
Right.
It may not be the thing for everyone. I know there's probably a lot of older constituents that probably don't use Facebook. Probably read the paper a lot more. At the same time, the paper lags behind. It takes a little bit. Maybe getting out. Maybe just have a local community meeting. I mean, there used to be a time when people gathered at local community places and talked, or heck, just went and ate breakfast together at TD's Diner or somewhere like that, and talked to people. I don't understand why there's not a reason why we couldn't maybe try to find a day and say, hey, at 7 o'clock this morning I'll be at this diner, and eating. Come sit down and join me. Come talk. Come do whatever, and just be out in the community.
Right.
I mean, I think that
Just
may
make
be
yourself accessible.
100%. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Facebook, I'll gladly have set up another email just for government work. And I will probably, I'd already thought about this, I'll probably just get another cell phone strictly for doing business as an alderman.
That's probably a good idea.
And be glad to, even now, I mean, just anybody that wants to talk to me, message me. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. You may not like what I have to say,
Right.
and if you don't, that's cool. I mean, not everybody's going to agree, but I want everybody to know what I believe we need to be doing. That's the main thing. And if you agree with me, good. I mean, that's what we need, I think.
I really like using social media, and I really like your idea, Blake, of just having a monthly, I'm gonna be here eating, come join me, come talk to me.
Right.
I really like that.
Agreed.
All right, that's
I mean, just to echo what he said on the email, I mean, maybe just putting out an email, if you get people's email address and, you start developing a list, maybe you can just push it all out to them as soon as you receive it. I
Sure.
mean,
Yeah.
somewhat, sometimes maybe not the best way, emails get buried, I don't really want to read all this, especially if it gets to where, you're sending one out a day or something. But, I don't think it's necessarily that, active where you have that many volume going out. I think you'd probably end up being, maybe one a week or, one every 2 weeks or once a month. So, maybe that would be a good way
Yeah,
to.
exactly. Yeah, you can have a whole list of people there that you just send it out to once a week or once every other week, whatever. Just give them everything everything you've seen, and
Right. Just give a synopsis and, hey, here's
Yeah.
the information that was put out. Please tell me, read over it. Please tell me if you have any concerns or what your thoughts are. And,
good idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right there. I mean, that's a good idea. Mark Martin sends out. He was doing about every week and a half updates from the Hill, I think is what he calls it. Stuff that's going on at Capitol Hill, just talking about new laws and stuff, and what they were discussing on that time frame. So I appreciate that there because I looked at his emails, which helped me stay abreast of what's going on up there. And then, as a citizen, I could talk to him about things. And to me, that was I think it was a great idea because it kept me abreast of what's going on and would send me to searching on things so I could find out.
Right.
Because there's a lot of information that comes out from the state when it comes to bills. The fiscal notes are the first thing I always look at. I want to see what's the impact financially from this here.
Right.
What's the little hidden details in there that they may not tell you. And you can go in there and find that information out. But yeah, I think you guys have some great ideas. It's you said it best though. these aldermen get a packet generally sometime Friday afternoon. Comes in the form of email. I think there's hand-delivered packets as well. And then they meet Monday. Well, that's the weekend. You've just worked the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take some time off somewhere. So, but you got a weekend to take and, you know, hell, I don't know about most people. I'm sure a lot of people probably take Saturday. Sometimes they're doing stuff with the kids. You know, they're catching up on yard work, housework, you know, all these different things. You know, church on Sunday, church Sunday night. And then they roll into Monday, they got to work, and then they go back to the meeting Monday night, and they have to be prepared for all the information. It's just simply not enough time.
Right.
Especially when you get a book of 100 pages that you got to go through. You just don't have enough time. You know.
Could that be by design?
Yeah.
Well, that's, that's a damn good question.
Yeah.
I think that yeah, there needs to be more time for the board and to be able to look at stuff before they have to make a decision on it. And let's go back for all that stuff there. When do they ever have time to talk to their constituents about it?
Mhm.
How do you have time? I mean, when you don't know.
Right.
And you get it, and yeah, it's a problem that we have that's been going on forever, and continues to go on. You know, the county's a little bit better because they normally have their meetings on Tuesday night, but I mean, still Friday when you get your packet. Some get it on Saturday. You just don't have a whole lot of time to research this here, and when you're dealing with a lot of information that you got to vote on, and because you are controlling taxpayers' dollars, you know, you're on the front line. People are coming to you because you're voting on their money. But you're not getting the information because of people back here that should be doing the job, not really doing the damn job.
Mhm.
And that's kind of one thing I said. I see it happening.
Yeah. And Candy, one of the things you kind of talked about earlier was the kind of the broad categories and vagueness in the budgets themselves. You know, what was it, office supplies and then office and equipment or something like that. I mean, on the
Yeah.
same budget page, it's like, so what's the difference? You know, I mean, can you give some more granularity to it to explain? I mean, is it computers we're buying? Are we going to get new typewriters? I mean, you know, there's no telling what they're going to spend the money on.
Right.
And I think people could maybe get behind them more if they actually knew where the money was going towards. You know, if we really need something, if we're working on a 91 Windows Vista computer, right, and it's time to go on ahead and come out of the Stone Age to modern technology. I get that. You know, that's somewhat understandable. But when you just give a blanket, here's $20,000 in office supplies, and it's like, what do you need $20,000 for each year? You know, I mean. We
It's a
buying
lot
a bunch of
paper.
pens? Yeah, we buying paper. I mean, in a digital world once again. Like,
You know-
Well, and then I was looking in there, the Dixon Street project. Wasn't it last mentioned, it was like 790 something thousand on the bid, but then in the budget papers, it's listed at 804,000.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, wasn't Casey saying that he was going to talk to them about the paving issue and possibly saving some money, but yet you've got it on paper for 804,000? That's not adding up.
No. And like Gordon said, the math ain't mathing.
yeah, voodoo math.
And you know, and he's right about that. You know, I'm going to give a quick analogy on something there too. Is earlier this year, there was a transfer of money. Now last year at budget time, the board put money in to the police fund to buy 2 police cars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at the start of the budget year, they got money to buy 2 police cars.
Right.
I believe it was $130,000.
$130,000.
Okay, $130,000 they put in there. Well, before they bought 2 police cars, they wrecked 2 police cars. Okay, so they've already got the 130 sitting in there to buy the 2 police cars. At the meeting, we've come to find out the police cars were $62,000 apiece, so $124,000. Well, guess what? They got the 130 sitting right here. They bought the 2 police cars. Then they got $6,000 to spare to go buy lunch. But what we forget, and this was brought up and said in the meeting, and I'm going to go back to what Chief said.
Insurance.
The insurance paid off $74,000. Well, you add that 6 you got left over, you got 80,000. Hell, you still could have bought another car and had 18K kicker.
Yep.
That could have been used this year. Where
Right.
is the money?
Exactly. And that's part of my problem. It's like I was saying before about it all being a shell game. There's no way they should be able to move money from one spot to another and buy. I mean, I can understand small money, just office expense money or
Right.
something like that. But when you're talking equipment, cars, things like that, and you're moving money around and it's going places where it's not intended, should that not be looked at by the alderman? Should it not be approved by the alderman before that money is spent?
I feel it should.
I would agree.
I'm gonna say this here, and this is coming from years of watching meetings. And again, sometimes the truth is a bitter pill. People don't like to taste it. But the aldermen don't ask the questions. They take what they're told is to be gospel.
Yep.
And that's where the problem lies into. Now, you mentioned something earlier that I think is a brilliant idea. It's having a list of assets. We know what we got, so when they come up in here and they start asking for all this stuff here, well, what do you have? And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm sorry at this point in time frame, there's been so much, I can't say it any other way, so many lies told.
Mhm.
The lie told last year, oh, we're doing good, we can afford to give raises, then we come to find out we're in a negative position.
Right.
You're sending this information off to the state at the same time, you're telling us we're good. Yeah, the trust is gone.
Right.
They violated the trust so much. So now I want to see stuff in writing. I want to see aldermen riding out there and taking a look, okay, well, you know what, we're gonna count up exactly how many trucks we got in public works. And who's got what truck, where's the truck, how many miles on the truck. Show me some information on this thing here. And I want a VIN attached to it so I know which truck is which.
Yeah.
Then you go up there and take a look at the truck, well, you got 104,000 miles on it. That truck's good for probably another, if you maintenance it correctly. Hell, I don't have a vehicle that's less than 250,000 miles. I maintenance them, take care of them, they last me.
Drive it till it
That's right.
doesn't go anymore, and then you worry about finding.
Right, and then you know what? And if you come to me and say, hey, you know what? I drove this damn thing till the wheels fell off of it. Oh yeah, you need another one.
Exactly.
As a taxpayer, I support that.
Yeah.
But they have violated our trust for so long. It's hard to give them any support. And they bitch and moan and cry and whine about the fact that we're up here, and there was a comment up here on the page, and I commented back to it. But the daily dose of hate and discontent. You know what? You're damn right it's hate and discontent. If bottom line is if our tax dollars aren't being used correct, it's not only our right, it's our responsibility to step up and call it out. So if you don't like the fact that we're doing that there, maybe you need to tune away from this page. Because we're going to continue to do the right thing, and we're going to continue to stand for what's right. And we're going to continue to go to the meetings, we're going to make our presence known, and when we want to get up there and talk, we'll talk. If we want to come up here into our Facebook page and talk, guess what? We're in America. That's our freedom.
And I think we need to even extend it from the equipment side or asset side to even the capital projects. Like, there was a lot of times,
Agreed.
we got a capital project, we're gonna spend, I don't remember what Justin said, $12 million or something that he had for capital
Yeah.
projects or something. Okay, great. On what? Where are we gonna spend this money? And can we kinda see if it's actually, justifiable
Do we
or,
need it?
yeah, exactly. Or is it kind of a pet project? You got a friend out there that needs some help, or at the end of the day, is it something that, we're gonna spend 4 times the amount on versus what it really should cost?
And if some of those projects weren't really necessary, do we really need the
Right.
increase in utility prices?
100%. And it comes down to criticality level somewhat. Like I said, and that was one thing, also is, can we also have a list of, hey, here's issues that we know about, whether we found it internally, citizens pointed it out, something, but have some type of list that explains the issues, how many people are impacted by it, and we all know you can budget and kind of guess at how much it's going to cost for a project. It may not always come back exactly that, but give an idea of how much it's going to cost and what the potential consequences are if we don't and it fails
Right.
completely. Is it the state's going to come in and take us over, or is it, are we going to have 2 people maybe without water or something, and we can
Right.
get it fixed in 4 or 5 hours? There's a big difference in we have the state come in and take us over and we lose rights to manage something. That's a lot bigger issue. But I don't see any of that.
At the end of the day, as an elected official, None of this money we're spending is ours.
Exactly.
Belongs to all of y'all.
Yeah.
It's y'all's money. You worked hard, and they came and took part of your money out of your check to give to the city. And as an alderman or mayor, especially alderman, we're the ones that approve the budgets.
Yeah.
If we're lucky enough to be elected, we're responsible for that money. And if y'all don't like where we're spending it, come talk to us. Let us know.
Right.
And I just feel like if the people decide to vote for any one or all three of us, at the end of the day, that's what we're gonna have to answer to the people about how we spent their money. And that's the way I'm gonna look at it every day. Every budget I get, I'm gonna comb through it line by line, and I'm gonna figure out, do we really need to be spending this money? And sometimes there may be departments that don't get what they want.
Right.
I mean, you just gotta face the facts. I mean, you can't tax the people to death, and eventually if you keep taxing them more and more and more, your community is not gonna grow. It's gonna become stagnant.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get business in here.
Yeah.
You've seen it happen in other places. I mean,
It does.
Yeah. You can't tax yourself into prosperity.
Exactly.
It don't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. And you guys are all hitting on great points. There's a lot here. There's a lot wrong. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, what bugs me a lot is the knowledge or lack of knowledge that aldermen have and commissioners. Because I mean, I've heard this from county commissioners and city aldermen. Mushrooms. That's what they feel like, is mushrooms, because they're kept in the dark.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is a problem. That is a major problem. And it ain't hard to sit there and say, no, I'm not approving this budget until I get more information. Kick it off.
Yeah.
And I'm tell you what, this whole thing this year with city, they're talking about, Griggs was like, we're only having 2 meetings.
Yeah.
You know what? State law does not sit there and say that you only have to have 2 meetings.
Yeah.
State law says you don't have to have it approved by July 1st. Hell, if you go back in there and read it. But the thing is, I question if they even know the law. I mean, based on some of their actions. These are things that to me, that where the aldermen, I think, kind of fail is they don't step up enough. It's like they want to avoid confrontation, and I get it. I mean, most politicians don't want to get into it because they're worried about getting reelected. So they tiptoe and they play politics. Hell no. And dealing with people's money.
Yeah, that's
You know,
it.
I've had somebody ask me the other day, and I think this is it's the damn greatest thing I ever heard. They were talking about, about Griggs pushing for all these pay raises. We got to take care of our people. We got to take care of our people. So he's spending other people's money because it's our money that he's spending. And I went back in and I started thinking, I need to find somebody who worked for Griggs when he was at Big Star, because the question that was brought to me was, did Griggs give the same pay raises to his employees, which would have came out of his pocket,
Right.
than what he's doing over here? And I asked the same thing of any of those aldermen there. When you got to take and give raises and stuff, would you have done it for people who work for you?
Right.
But when it affects your pocketbook,
It's easy to spend when it's not yours.
that's it. And I think that's part of what's happening. I just got a text, and I'm going to steer off on something here for just a second here. Now, this is coming out of Decatur County. I know it doesn't really apply in Henderson County, but this is the thing that's going on statewide. This is a reappraisal out of Decatur County. Now, this was on a lot. I don't know the size of the lot, but I think it's a pretty small lot. It's a little wooded lot. That's all I've got. I don't know the size of it. The previous appraised value for this lot was $1,800. $1,800. After the reappraisal, it went to $8,300. The assessment when it was because 25%, being a residential, was 450 is gone to 2,075. Now we don't know what the equalized rate is, but we're talking. I haven't calculated that up, but that's about a 400% increase in value.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, I doubt seriously that the break point there when the equalized rate comes down, somebody's gonna be paying a hell of a lot more taxes.
No doubt, no doubt.
And that's, yeah, this is the stuff that's going on, and that's not just, it's not local, just here, just like taxes. I know there's a big fuss over there in Jackson right now because Congress is trying to raise taxes in Jackson. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's happening all over. I'll probably catch a little bit of slack about this here, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I had never been big on CBD and hemp and all this stuff here. I always kind of thought it was snake oil, and I never had a desire to smoke marijuana. Never had a desire to. But we went, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 months ago. I have a friend of mine who actually has she manufactures this stuff. She makes it. She's I guess a manufacturer, farmer, grower. So I asked, because we've got an old lab and she's getting hip dysplasia. We've had her on gabapentin and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, we went down there, found out what to get. We got her some hemp trees. Yeah. And oh my gosh, it has made a huge difference in her. Right. She's almost got back to a puppy stage, and we absolutely love it. Right. She's not hurting, and that matters to us. Well, while we're sitting in the store, April, grooming dogs, scissoring all the time, running clippers, carpal tunnel. It just sets in. I mean, and she's been doing it, I don't know, 25, 30 years. Rheumatoid arthritis, is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. She was sitting in there, we were talking, introducing myself to the lady in there, and she said, I told her, anything for arthritis? Oh yeah. She gave April this little jar of salve and told her to put some on. Well, she rubbed some on, and then April's walking around the store and looking around, and then all of a sudden she's like, my hands don't hurt. They're not tingling. Okay, well, we grabbed a jar of that there. She's always had trouble sleeping. But I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. I'm up about 4:30. But April always has trouble. She gets to bed at 11:30, midnight. I get her up around 7. So she got her some gummies. And it's worked. Not only that she was having trouble with headaches. The headaches are gone. When she would get tight in here, her muscles would get tight. She'd take a quarter gummy, and it fixed the problem. She isn't going to the chiropractor as much as she used to because she's not hurting as bad as she used to. Mm-hmm. She's not getting the headaches where she was taking prescription meds to get rid of the migraines. This stuff is actually is helping out with that. And it's just like, okay, wow, great. But yet here I am. I saw Bert Staggs put up earlier today about Texas is banning all THC products, pretty much every one of them. And the state up here is trying to do the same thing here. And I kind of lost my direction on where the hell I was going with this to start with.
Probably the syntax portion of it, the amount of revenue that comes from it.
Yeah, it's like a $40 million tax that's generated from this here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then what happened is lobby gets involved with I'm sure it's probably impacting liquor sales. No. So they've gotten involved, and they're now that they want to push hemp under the ABC. Yeah. But I don't have a problem with pulling out of gas stations. But then again, hell, if we're going to pull it out of gas stations, pull freaking beer out of gas stations. Yeah. Shit, when I was a kid, I'm going to tell you right now, where I'm from back in the day, the drinking age was 18. Yeah. It changed while I was getting to that point, but the drinking age was 18. And we go to a convenience store at 16 years old, buy a 6-pack. Yeah. And that stuff still happens now. Don't tell me it don't. Yeah. If you want to target something, you get in with lobbyists and all this stuff here, and they push it here, and then they pad pockets here. You need some money for your campaign. Yeah. And as you guys know, I don't know if you got the same speech. At the end of the day, if you get donations for your campaign, and you don't spend that money, what happens at the end of the day? You get to put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Now these guys here, you know, they're probably big wigs. They're sitting up there, oh yeah, I need a war chest because I want to run again, so I can get more money.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just it's how it goes, and this is, you know, I don't know why I got off on that tangent about the CBD. It just kind of set me wrong today. But yeah, legislation that is not always what we want it to be,
No.
and it's
Well,
and things impact us across the board, even at the state level. Stuff comes down and impacts us down here.
right. I guess my thing with it is if you're trying to find money, if you're having a budget shortfall, and this, you can agree, disagree, we can talk about it, but you can have sin tax. That's voluntary tax. You know, people can voluntarily go in and purchase it, just like alcohol, and you collect tax on it. It's not mandatory. Your property tax, I mean, I can't get out of that, you know, and that affects everybody. It's mandatory. And at the end of the day, if you don't pay it, trust me, they'll turn around and sell your home. No problem at all. That can be very detrimental to a lot of people. That can cause a lot of issues. You know, people's home is what gives them safety and comfort a lot of times. And feeling like you can't make ends meet and that your home's going to be lost, that can cause some very, very bad emotional issues, mental issues, things like that. Where once again, like I said, if you go into a voluntary tax or like a sin tax, you don't have to pay that. You don't have to engage in those activities if you don't or can't afford it. And if you can, you can afford to pay the tax.
Right.
That's just kind of my thoughts on some things like that.
Right. I agree. One thing I'd like to, I guess, get y'all's opinion on, and the public as well. If an alderman who is voting to approve a budget that includes pay raises that go to his family members, his or her family members, is that a problem? Basically, what's happening here is you've got people taking money from y'all out of your paycheck to give it to other people that include not just their family, but it does include some of their family members.
Yeah.
Would it not be right to, at very least, stand up in front of the public and say, hey, I'm fixing to vote this budget through and give everybody raises, and it's going to include 3 of my family members or 5 of my family members, just for full disclosure.
Yeah.
Could always abstain.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. He could recuse himself from the vote, and that would be the proper thing to do in my mind.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've thought about this a lot. I mean, it really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think if I was taking money from the public and turning around and giving it back to my family, I would question my morality.
Agreed.
And I'm not faulting anybody for doing that, because they probably just never thought about it. But I personally, it would bother me. That's something, that and the nepotism that runs rampant.
That's bad. I know Fred Ellis tried to do I don't know, I think it was more of what I call the horse and pony show, dog and pony show, however you want to call it. He did that last year talking about nepotism and implementing a nepotism policy. And it isn't a nepotism policy. You know, it's just, there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We have people who are in violation of whatever that nepotism policy of direct in line.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you what, you got somebody sitting up here. You got a level of employees here, level of employees here, level of employees here, level of employees here. That is direct in line.
Exactly.
Period.
It doesn't
And-
matter if there's somebody.
In between
In
or not,
between.
yeah, who cares about a buffer? That's
Yeah,
it.
if you've got an employee here and his direct boss is answering to the employee's family member,
Right.
what's he going to do? He's
Exactly.
always going to side with whatever that employee wants, because if he doesn't, his boss is going to get on him.
Right.
That's it. I mean, that's common sense.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to look at anything any other way.
Yeah.
And if you doubt that, well, then you go back to the morality thing is, well, you know what? You wouldn't do that in the first place, but yet you're allowed it to happen, so you know your morality is already in question. You know, and that's, you know, here, I can see it. You know, I'm telling you what, even in the military, no fraternization. They were really adamant about that there, and it's because of to keep from things like this happening.
Right.
You know, you get to certain levels of rank, and you're again in direct line in the same chain of command. All that stuff comes into play. I mean, the military's tight about that there. Again, for the same reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with special treatment.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you know, and I mean, if you go through and you look at the names, there's a lot of names. Now, you know, I'll tell you what. I get it. You know, you're somebody's cousin, or you know what, you're my family married your family, and it's your, you know, my wife's who is not really blood related to me, but let's just say that they're cousin 3 times removed, whatever the hell that shit is.
Right.
But if they're just down the line,
Yeah.
that's a different story.
Agreed.
But when you got parents and their children
Mhm.
in the same department, hell no. Hell no. That's nepotism. You
Uh,
can't pin it any other way.
Yeah.
And I've heard the thing, well, we just don't have enough qualified people. Bull crap.
That's bull.
I would want to question, and I would love to see this here. Now, because they give so much authority to the department heads, but I would love to see on recent hires that would fall under this nepotism we're talking about, I'd like to see the other candidates who applied
Mm-hmm.
and were interviewed for the job
Right.
and look at their qualifications.
Agreed.
Tell me who else applied for that same position
Right.
and let me see. But we don't get to see that there because there's no transparency. But when you start seeing those things, that's when you can find out, oh yeah, now you can see it because it paints the picture a hell of a lot clearer.
I never really thought about it a whole lot until probably the last couple of months. And I had a friend of mine here locally that people have been pushing him to run for county commissioner. And he said, I can't. I said, well, what do you mean you can't? He said, my daughter would answer to me. My brother would answer to me. He said, I'm not putting myself or them in that position. Of course, it boosted my opinion of him greatly.
Right.
But it also opened my eyes to a lot of other situations going on right here in the city. And
And that's it. You know, and that's a man of good character or a woman that made that decision, you know. And it's, you know, that's who we need serving. Because those people there, they're already conscientious about what the citizens want and how citizens are going to perceive it. And they're going to be the ones who are going to step up and say, hey, I need to do the right thing for these people.
Right.
And that's what we need. Anyway, we're going to close this thing here. If not, we're going to be here all night. Again, Candy Davis, Patrick Cherry, Blake Mitchell, they're running for everything, except for the school board positions. And I believe that I saw Sarah Priest is running on one of the school board members. So there's actually there's some competition up on that side there. I'm not sure all this. I'll be honest with you. I don't pay a lot of attention to the school board, and the reason being is I just don't get any complaints from anybody about the city school systems.
Yeah.
So I mean, why in the heck do I need to even look into something that nobody's complaining about? It just wouldn't make much sense. But anyway, that's we're going to shut this thing down because we've been going on for a long time. And
Well, thank you for letting us voice our opinions. And
anytime y'all want to come up here, feel free. You're more than welcome. This is just a forum for people to get up here and talk.
We appreciate the platform.
appreciate it, definitely.
That's what we're here for. You know, last week I did a shout out for HTO, and I'm going to tell you right now, for that coffee, that's the bomb. Kim's got it going on. Thanks for that recommendation. I drink what she makes for herself. And I got thinking about it on the way in, I'm like, I don't want to do another shout out. And I really didn't know. Been a busy week. I just haven't spent a lot of time in businesses locally. We did go down to the Mexican restaurant today and a great meal. But I want to do something a little bit different because I don't want this to all be all about businesses. I want to give out a shout out to a customer of mine and somebody I consider my friend. And I'm giving him this shout out because he actually brings a smile to my face when I watch his videos on Facebook. Chris Herbis. I don't know if you guys, anybody knows Chris Herbis or not. See Herb is what you'll see on this thing. This guy is keeping Moon Pie and Goobers in business all on his own. He is a hoot. He is a character. He posts videos on his personal page. Different places he goes to eat. He gets out and explores and he shares stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, he will always bring a smile to your face if you ever watch any of his videos. So Chris, man, this is a shout out to you, brother. You keep me smiling on those days when I may not have reason to smile. I certainly appreciate it. But that's it. Appreciate y'all coming out, and y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.